Good evening, hello and welcome to this special broadcast. I'm Anusha Soni. The government of Jharkhand is working out of a resort in Chhattisgarh's Raipur. Now, if you look at what exactly is happening in the state of Jharkhand, it will worry any citizen. JMM has said they have accused the BJP, their political opponent, of trying to poach their MLAs. Don't forget the sword hanging on Soren's head with the Election Commission recommending his disqualification. That's what sources have indicated. Now, in the anticipation of governor taking a decision to disqualify him, probably as an MLA, the JMM has shifted their MLAs to a safe location, quote unquote. While horse trading or holding on to power continues to be the priority of the netas in our country, the state government has perhaps forgotten the constitutional oath taken for the welfare of the people. A minor girl was burnt alive. She did not get proper treatment. The government did not reach out to the family. The local police tried to shield the accused. The list of lapses on the part of the government is a long one. What does this case expose? It exposes the apathy, insensitivity and the misplaced priorities for the government, and questions must be asked. If the government clutches to power over the welfare of its people, it has failed in its constitutional duty. Let's dive into all these issues. First up, a special report.
One state, two diametrically opposite extremes. On one hand, a teen, now proved to be 16, burnt alive in Dumka by spurned lover Shahrukh, who was seemingly protected from POCSO charges by the investigating officer. The uproar raises nationwide tremors. On the other, this. Elected representatives packed off to a resort in Chhattisgarh at taxpayers' expense, seemingly to protect them from political poachers amid a flux in the political scenario. Worse, pictures tweeted out of liquor bottles being brought into the resort. A father seeks a fair probe at justice. Netas obviously have other things to think about. The sheer disconnect shows.
बयान देते समय या कुछ उस समय जली हुई थी बच्ची, जली हुई अवस्था में तो इतने लहर से या 16 या 17 बोली होगी, पुलिस को सुना दिया 19 लिख दिया. वो लोग तो बोलेंगे आधार कार्ड और मैट्रिक का सर्टिफिकेट ले गया, ले जाने के बाद उसको सुधारा गया.
The tension in Dumka itself reflects in flag marches carried out by police. Precautionary measures amid tensions as 3 union ministers fly into the state to meet the aggrieved family. And that's besides other opposition leaders heading to Dumka. An NCW team is visiting. The NCPCR chief himself will visit next week. The chief minister and the cabinet, of course, is busy elsewhere.
कि सरकार नाम की यहाँ कोई चीज़ है नहीं, मुख्यमंत्री यहाँ है कि कहीं बाहर है, राज्य के बाहर. किस तरह का आज उनके परिवार में माहौल है, उस मोहल्ले का क्या माहौल है, दुमका का क्या माहौल है, इसको भी देखना था. इस कारण से हम तीनों आए.
हम सब लोग अपनी संवेदनाएं लेकर आए हैं, सांत्वना लेकर आए हैं और ये संकल्प लेकर आए हैं कि शाहरुख को फांसी जब तक नहीं होगी तब तक न्याय को अधूरा माना जाएगा.
The heat on Chief Minister Hemant Soren derives from an Election Commission recommendation that he be disqualified as MLA as he holds an office of profit boost by getting stone chip mining lease in his name. Soren lashed out alleging a BJP role in drafting the ECI report and a bid to poach JMM INC MLAs to pull down his government, hence the resort to resort politics.
पता नहीं क्या उठा पटक आप लोग देखते हैं, हमको तो उठा पटक नजर नहीं आ रहा. गए हैं लोग, अब किस काम से गए हैं वो भी तो मेरे बता के नहीं गए. लेकिन फिर भी हमको पूरे विधायकों पर हमको पूरा भरोसा है, यूपीए गठबंधन के विधायकों पर. वो एकजुट रहेंगे, कोई बिकेंगे नहीं.
What glares though amid saving the kursi is big lapses and insensitivities in the probe of a murder that shook the nation. The Jharkhand government finds itself pushed to a corner.
Well, let's take you through the series of events that happened. First up, let's tell you how this unfortunate crime unfolded. And when the crime actually happened, what did the Jharkhand government do or not do about it? Let's have a look. Now, when the crime actually happened, Ankita succumbed to her burn injuries a few days later after being attacked. The chief minister and the 32 MLAs were on a bus trip, a boat ride, and that's what they were taking. These images will continue to raise many questions. Nationwide uproar on murder and lapses. clear indication, clear evidence that the local police was trying to shield the accused by showing the age of the victim as a major and not as a minor. 32 MLAs depart for Raipur, check-in at the Mayfair Resort, and despite much criticism and noise that we have made here in the press about accountability of the government, no Neta has gone so far to meet Ankita's family. Union ministers, NCW have met the family. You also have the NCPCR stepping in, but MLAs booked at the resort for 2 days. There were liquor bottles allegedly that were seen to be going inside the resort. Now let's also talk about what will happen from here on. Is this the priority of any elected government of the day? The big lapses. No treatment is available in Dumka. She was shifted 250 kilometers to Ranchi. A very important, precious time was lost. This shows how the healthcare system is broken in the state of Jharkhand. It's an established fact if you look at various government reports. Poor care at RAM's Ranchi, but no effort to shift the patient to Delhi or any other place. Any government of the day would have taken cognizance and helped the victim's family. There were also delays in the release of compensation. BJP says that the compensation should have been much, much higher and not merely about 10 lakh rupees that has been given. But there was a delay on that front as well. This is a huge lapse on the part of the law and order machinery. There are vague allegations of appeasement politics that have been made, but the manner in which the local administration and a top officer of the police tried to enhance the age of the victim so that she's 18 plus and POCSO doesn't apply, and that also makes it in some way easier, relatively easier to secure a bail, raises a lot of questions about the manner in which law and order is functioning in the state of Jharkhand. These are some very important legal questions that they must answer, not just questions of political morality. Dumka DSP complicity with the accused. There is ample evidence to suggest that something like this actually transpired. Appeasement to protect the murderer from POCSO. As I said, it's a very stringent provision. Identity of the minor victim was made public in the local media, unfortunately in the national media, because the police said the victim was aged 19 plus, 18 plus. Health minister was on a boat ride at the state expense. A minister who's expected to take care of the victim or the family or address to the health issues and priorities in the state. Now, state cabinet packed off to Raipur. The government is virtually running out of a resort. For how long will this continue? And is clutching onto power the only important aspect for the elected government of the day? That's the question we ask. The power without responsibility. Should the government be held accountable for the manner in which JMM is in a huddle right now, and politics has become a priority over the daughter of Jharkhand? All right, joining us on the broadcast are our panel of guests who continue to be with us. We have Mr. R.P. Singh, the BJP spokesperson. He's with us here in the studio. We also have Mayur Jha of the Congress Party, a Congress spokesperson. He's with us on the broadcast. We have Mr. Naveen Upadhyay, who's the executive editor of The Pioneer. Dr. Tanuj Khatri, JMM spokesperson, is also joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Khatri, I'm coming to you first. आपसे जानना चाहूंगी, is this how an elected government takes care of the victim's family after a heinous incident like this has happened? And I'm going to juxtapose that with what is happening in the politics of Jharkhand. Is the priority of the government to make sure that all your MLAs are at a very luxurious resort in Chhattisgarh or in Raipur and not to take care of the victim's family?
मैं जवाब दूं, मैं उससे पहले आपसे अनुमति लेना चाहता हूं कि मैं मुझे 1 मिनट जो मैं बोलूंगा उसमें बीच में नहीं टोका
जी बिल्कुल नहीं टोका जाएगा, आप बोलिए।
थैंक यू, शुक्रिया। थोड़ा पीछे ले जाना चाहता हूं भारत की राजनीति में। INLD और भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कोalition गवर्नमेंट था। देवी लाल जी मुख्यमंत्री थे। उन्होंने अपने 48 MLAs को लेकर के दिल्ली के एक होटल में यही लग्जरी टूर करवाया। 1983 में मुख्यमंत्री थे रामकृष्ण हेगड़े, वो जनता पार्टी के थे। 80 MLA को लेकर के बेंगलुरु चले गए। उस वक्त बेंगलोर था। आंध्र प्रदेश में एनटी रामाराव ने अपने MLAs को लेकर के फिर बेंगलुरु गए, और गुजरात में 1995 के अंदर में केशुभाई पटेल जो चर्चित मुख्यमंत्री थे, उन्होंने अपने 47 MLA को लेकर के खुजराव मध्य प्रदेश ले गया, वहां की चित्रों को दिखाने के लिए। बिहार में 2000 में यही घटना घटी। पटना के लग्जरी होटल में, मौर्य होटल में उनको रखा गया। महाराष्ट्र में 2002 में और अभी 2022 में MLAs को गुवाहाटी में लग्जरी जगहों पर ले जाया गया। उत्तराखंड में 2016 में 27 एमएलए भारतीय जनता पार्टी के जयपुर ग्रीन होटल में रुके। और अभी लेटेस्ट जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी मध्य प्रदेश में ग्वालियर म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन है, मैं तो अभी सभी विधायकों की बात कर रहा था, लेकिन शिवराज सिंह चौहान
एक मिनट हो गया तनु जी, 1 मिनट हो गया, अब मैं बीच में बोल सकती हूँ। 1 मिनट हो गया।
अच्छा, टाइम अप हो गया
जी? नहीं, टाइम अप नहीं हुआ है। नहीं, आपने बोला था कि 1 मिनट मुझे बोलने दीजिएगा। अब मैं एक सवाल जोड़ना चाहती हूँ जो मैंने पहले पूछा, उससे फिर से आपने बोली सारी बातें जो आप बोलना चाहती थी। जो राजनीतिक पृष्ठभूमि आप मुझे इन सारे उदाहरणों से दे रहे हैं, क्या वो भारतीय राजनीति की नैतिकता का उदाहरण है? आप ये कहना चाहते हैं मुझसे? ये आपका आर्ग्यूमेंट है? ये आपका आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि इन लोगों ने किया था तो हम भी कर रहे हैं?
देखिए, भारतीय राजनीति को जिस मोड़ पर आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने ला करके रख दिया है, तो दूसरों के पास तो चारा नहीं है। हमें इस बात को बोलने में, स्वीकारने में कोई हर्ज नहीं है कि जिस राजनीति को जिस मोड़ पर ला करके जिसका स्तर को गिरा दिया है, हम उसी स्तर से उठने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। हम उसी स्तर से उठेंगे और एक दिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कुशासन से देश आजाद होगा।
अगर आपका तर्क मान भी लिया जाए तो जिस स्तर पर वो गिर गए हैं, जिस स्तर पर वो गिर गए हैं, उसी स्तर पर आप गिर के अपने आप को कैसे बचा लेंगे तनु जी?
कीचड़ में गिरे हुए को उठाने के लिए कीचड़ में गिरना पड़ता है।
चलिए फिर आगे बढ़ते हैं, दूसरी बिंदु पर आते हैं। मान लेते हैं आपकी ये बात, क्योंकि ये फिलोसॉफिकल डिबेट्स है ना, फैक्ट्स पे आ जाते हैं। जिस बच्ची पर हमला हुआ, जिस बच्ची पर हमला हुआ, क्या उससे अभी तक आपकी पार्टी का कोई भी नेता मिलने गया है?
लगातार लोग वहां पे मिल रहे हैं। हम मिलने जाने की राजनीति नहीं कर रहे हैं कि मनोज तिवारी वहां से आ जाएंगे दिल्ली से मिलने के लिए। आइए जाइए मिलने के लिए, लेकिन राजनीति मत कीजिए, उसको सहायता पहुंचाइए।
अभी नहीं, अब देखिए तनु जी 10 सेकंड मेरी बात सुनिए। अभी मतलब कुछ ही क्षण पहले आप बोल रहे थे कि जिस स्तर पे राजनीति गिर गई है, हम उसी कीचड़ में जाएंगे और वहीं से उठाएंगे। तो जब विक्टिम से मिलने की बात आती है तो आप उसी स्तर पे गिर जाइए, तब आप क्यों नहीं गिर रहे हैं? ये आपका गिरना भी सिलेक्टिव है।
बिल्कुल कौन? अरे आपको पता है, आप तो बस बोल दे रहे हैं। मेरी सभी बातों का तो जवाब है नहीं किसी के पास। अब आप विक्टिम पर आ गए। विक्टिम जो है, दुख होता है वो, हमने अपनी बहन को खोने का काम किया झारखंड ने, और उस पर राजनीति मत कीजिए ना कोई। उसको संवेदना प्रकट कीजिए। उसके परिवार के साथ माननीय मुख्यमंत्री खड़े हैं। दोषी को कड़ी से कड़ी सजा की मांग झारखंड की सरकार ने फर्स्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट के माध्यम से निर्देश दिया है। मैडम
तनु जी, पॉलिटिकल ऑप्टिक्स को साइड में रखते हैं और फिर से उस पे आते हैं। जस्टिस मिलना चाहिए। जिस तरह से अक्यूज्ड को बचाने के लिए लोकल प्रशासन ने काम किया, कहीं ना कहीं पॉक्सो एक्ट ना लगे इसलिए विक्टिम की एज को 19 दिखाया गया। क्या ये एक बहुत ही संगीन घटना नहीं थी?
लोकल प्रशासन, मैं आपको बता दे रहा हूं आपके चैनल के माध्यम से, चाहे लोकल प्रशासन हो चाहे कोई स्टेट का प्रशासन हो, उसमें किसी प्रकार की अनियमितता बर्दाश्त नहीं की जाएगी। और उसके स्तर पर कार्रवाइयां भी हुई है। अगर किसी ने गलती करने की कोशिश की होगी तो, और आगे भी होगी, निष्पक्ष जांच होगी और दोषी को कड़ी से कड़ी सजा होगी। कोई नहीं रोक सकता है, कोई आजाद नहीं करेगा। 15 अगस्त के दिन जिस तरीके से देश के अंदर, गुजरात के अंदर रेपिस्टों को आजाद किया गया,
गलत था वो नहीं होना चाहिए, और उसकी हमने यहां पर भी निंदा की थी और हम फिर से करते हैं। ठीक है, तो वो गलत एक दूसरे गलत को जस्टिफाई नहीं कर सकता। सवाल बीजेपी आपसे ये पूछ रही है कि क्या ये तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति का नतीजा है? तनु जी,
ओह माय गॉड, तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति भारतीय जनता पार्टी कर रही है। आप समझिए बात को। कम से कम आपसे मैं उम्मीद रखता हूं। मैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी से उम्मीद नहीं रखते हैं कि वो धार्मिक बात ना करेंगे। वो धर्म ही ढूंढेंगे हर एंगल में। हम अपराधी की बात कर रहे हैं।
तनु जी, मैंने आपसे सभी बिंदुओं पे सवाल पूछे, अब उन्हीं बिंदुओं पे मैं बीजेपी से भी सवाल पूछूंगी। डॉक्टर मिस्टर आरपी सिंह ऑफ द बीजेपी इज आल्सो जॉइनिंग अस ऑन द ब्रॉडकास्ट। सर, तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा कर रहा है या बीजेपी कर रही है? सवाल बड़ा ये खड़ा हो रहा है। वही बात अभी तनु जी भी बोल रहे थे। उनका कहना है कि आपने राजनीति को एक ऐसे स्तर पर लाके गिरा दिया है कि उनको उस कीचड़ में उतर के उसको उठाना पड़ रहा है। दैट्स देयर आर्गुमेंट, दैट यू हैव ब्रॉट डाउन द स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ पॉलिटिकल मोरालिटी इन दिस कंट्री वेरी वेरी लो.
But we are here today to discuss about the murder of Ankita Singh, and I am accusing the state is complicit in that murder and sharing the reason now. I hope my friend from JMM will hear me patiently. The gentleman named Nadeem, who was a writer who was involved in riots in June 2022, just 2 months back, he got injured in the rioting while he was part of the riots. He was airlifted from the state for treatment in Delhi, but state government didn't have time to airlift or take care of the bitia to be taken care to be taken to Ranchi. They didn't have time. The chief minister don't have time, and I'm again saying this is a message by PFI in which the state government is giving protection to PFI and Sandhya Sarani for a reason. Reason is you see the smile on that face of that boy who murdered the girl after he has murdered the girl, clearly sent the indication and message that we are love jihadis. If we don't go by our diktat, we will again do the same. We'll kill you, we'll put patrol on you, we'll burn you. Better is that you obey us and fall in for love jihad and convert. That's the message out of this. And state government is complicit in this.
Mr. R.P. Singh, while it's very good that the opposition raised this matter the way in which, if there were whatever lapses were there, and we pointed them out, whatever lapses were there on the part of the administration.
What do you think?
Give me a second.
So
one question and then you can go on. Were exposed because the opposition was active in this. But if you think that the PFI is so problematic, each time there is an incident like this, we talk about PFI, the funding it's getting from different countries. Why doesn't the government really ban this organization?
Well, very good question. Now, it's the state government who can take initiative in banning PFI. And this is not the first instance. I can quote you 10 instances from Jharkhand itself where PFI and Sandhya Sarani, the allied organization, are part of it. But issue is again, who dictated the local SP, police, the way they did, what they did? They showed the age of the girl as 19 instead of 16. There was someone who's dictating them. And I'm saying, it was been done on the order of PFI, remote control through a remote control process. Again, to send a message across that to all love jihadis that you can go ahead, do whatever you want to do. PFI will back you up and will take care of you. And state government has miserably failed to help that girl. Otherwise, this girl would have been alive today.
I agree. She should have got the treatment at the right time, at the very least. Mayur Jha, Naveen Upadhyay, before I come to you, Tanuj ji, a short response, एक छोटा सा उत्तर मैं चाहूंगी कि आप आरपी सिंह को जरूर दें कि क्या राज्य सरकार ने किसी तरीके का उदाहरण यहाँ पे निर्धारित किया है कि आप इस तरह का अपराध कर सकते हैं और जो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट है, स्टेट पुलिस मशीनरी है, वो उस तरह से काम करेगी. बीजेपी ये सवाल पूछ रही है कि लोकल अगर एक ऑफिसर ने, एंड दिस इज अ क्वाइट हाई रैंकिंग ऑफिसर इन द एसपी लेवल ऑफिसर, इफ he has done something, was he working under the instructions of the government?
नहीं, कोई एसपी लेवल का देखिए उनको जानकारी नहीं है, कोई एसपी लेवल का ऑफिसर नहीं है, बल्कि एसपी लेवल के ऑफिसर को इस जांच को करने के लिए लगाने का काम किया है राज्य सरकार ने. और देखिए जितनी चिंता उनको है ना, उससे ज्यादा चिंता हमें है. हमारी जवाबदेही है.
चिंता दिखा दी होती है आपने डॉक्टर साहब. उस बिटिया को आप एयरलिफ्ट करा देते डॉक्टर साहब. आपने थोड़े दिन पहले नदीम को क्यों नहीं किया, जो दंगा कर रहा था, जो वहाँ दंगे में इन्वॉल्व था, जो दंगे में जिसको चोट लगी उसको आपने एयरलिफ्ट करा दिया, जो दंगाई था उसको तो एयरलिफ्ट करा दिया. ये बिटिया क्योंकि खैर हिंदू थी इसलिए नहीं कराया. मुझे कहने में थोड़ा अफसोस हो रहा है, परंतु मुझे कहना पड़ रहा है कि अंकिता क्योंकि हिंदू थी इसलिए आपने एयरलिफ्ट किया, आपने उसको एयरलिफ्ट. और एक चीज सुन लीजिए, आपकी सरकार तो सरकार बचाने में लगी है, आपके मुख्यमंत्री तो पिकनिक पे है.
अगर सिंह साहब इनको जवाब देने दीजिए.
अगर आपके मुख्यमंत्री के खिलाफ भ्रष्टाचार,
एक मिनट एक आपके मुख्यमंत्री आपसे निवेदन, सिंह साहब आपसे निवेदन है. तनुज जी आपको 1 मिनट दे रही हूँ, आप जवाब दीजिए, फिर मैं अपने दूसरे गेस्ट पे जाऊंगी. प्लीज गो.
ये इनका आरोप है, सबका आरोप है कि हम सरकार बचाने में लगे हुए हैं. अच्छा, हम अगर सरकार बचाने में लगे हुए हैं तो कौन है जो सरकार गिराने में लगा हुआ है? पूछिए जरा.
आपको उत्तर देना है. आप आप वेस्ट बंगाल की सरकार, वेस्ट बंगाल की गाड़ी में क्या कर रही है?
I am not going to have the debate in this manner. I am not going to have the debate in this manner. Naveen Upadhyay is also with us on the broadcast. I want to go to Naveen Upadhyay. Naveen Upadhyay, when you see what is happening in Jharkhand right now, political huddle, there is such a gruesome crime that happened. There are various questions that have been raised on the local administration. It was a DSP level officer who allegedly did not do his duty properly. How do you see these events unfolding, the political uncertainty and a battle of optics and political morality that the present government seems to be fighting? Naveen ji. So I think yes, please go ahead. So I think your audio is muted. Can you unmute yourself? We can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Hello.
We can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Whenever such incidents happen, I mean the first response of a administration, local administration, I won't say the state government, but the local administration, everywhere they go out of the way, to try to hush it up. So in case of this Dumka incident, I see no new pattern, and everywhere the same thing happens, which is very condemnable. And then the response of political parties across the political spectrum is also very predictable and uniform, when they choose according to their convenience. If something happens in Hathras, Congress and Rahul Gandhi, they go all out of the way to take it on the BJP. Similarly, when it happens elsewhere, some other political parties will go out of the way to attack the party in the government.
Yeah.
But I think, unfortunately, if you look at it, every day thousands or dozens of incidents happen. In a year, thousands of incidents happen. How many incidents we highlight? I mean, we highlight, the political parties highlight only those incidents which somehow it's very unfortunate, which somehow it suits them. I mean, today if you look at it, I will point out 4 or 5 incidents.
Sure.
I mean, one incident in Dumka, which is highly condemnable, and where the response of the state government has been pathetic, deplorable. But similar incident, if you say something else happened in Madhya Pradesh, something else happened in Ranchi, where a domestic help was brutally battered for days, and then something else happens in Karnataka, where when we are talking of POSCO, the POSCO is the CR is charged with POSCO and nothing has happened. So when you look, I see political parties raise these issues when it suits them, and this is where the media comes in. People like us have to highlight it, so that I think we are able to raise public conscience towards
Absolutely.
it.
And,
Otherwise,
you know,
don't expect
Naveenji,
justice
I
to-
agree with you that there are very few instances that get media attention and limelight, and often because political parties have started raising it, a plausible argument is that for their own political interest as well. But that being said, even in the instances that media picks up and highlights and we debate about it in television studios, even in those instances, justice each time is not served. Media attention does help to a certain extent, but not to the extent that it's able to impart justice, at least what the Constitution really tells us about. I want to bring in Mayur Jha of the Congress Party as well. He's patiently with us on the broadcast. Naveenji, I'll come back to you. Mayur, and it's a valid point that Mr. Naveen Upadhyay raised, that when something like this happened in Uttar Pradesh, I'm not drawing comparisons, but I'm talking about the approach of the Congress Party. That whenever there is a heinous crime, especially a crime against women, there are top leaders of the Congress Party who are very active. They hit the streets. There are protests and dharnas that happen. This time, you're part of a government that when an instance like this has happened, many other instances like this have been reported. There are glaring lapses on the part of the government. How are you comfortably sitting in power? Won't you seek accountability from your alliance partner?
Now, Anusha, I'll need just 1 minute.
Sure.
This whole issue, what you brought, I in fact concur with most of the points that Mr. Upadhyay made here on the broadcast. Is there any justification for what happened in Dumka in terms of administration or even in terms of a government that I support? I come from Jharkhand. I'm a part of this government. Is there any justification? Absolutely no. Were there lapses? Absolutely yes. But I'm telling you where the difference is. And I come to the question that you asked, and you said that you don't want to draw comparisons. Yes, you should draw comparisons. The difference is that whatever lapses have happened, the government has owned up to those lapses, and the government is very sincerely investigating those lapses. And let me tell you, it's not just about Shah Rukh. If there are administrative lapses, if there are lapses on part of the government, all those lapses will be investigated and it will be punished. There are 2 investigations. One investigation that is happening against Shah Rukh, one investigation that is happening by a police team that has been constituted to look into the matter, and the primary responsibility that has been given to this team is to ensure that there is a fast trial court instituted, and the killers of this poor of this brave daughter of Dumka, they are taken to a logical conclusion and not only hanged. If things can go worse than hanging, that punishment should be there. There's another SIT that was constituted, and how was that SIT constituted? And there was this meeting of all the UPA legislators on Saturday evening, and in that meeting, Alamgir Alamji, who happens to be the Congress Legislative Party leader, he put up this discussion, and Hemant Sorenji concurred completely with Alamgir Alamji, where he said that, in this case, justice is not about the punishment that we want to mete out to Shah Rukh. Justice is the sincere investigation into the lapses. If the girl was in need, why was an air ambulance? No, Anusha, please give me 30 seconds. Anusha,
Mayur, one interjection. I'm short of time. I have to take this interjection with you. It's all fine and good that you're making all these balanced arguments. But if a DSP or level officer was doing what he was doing, which is to show the age of the victim as 18 plus, there is a very simple, direct and a logical question to ask. At whose instruction was he working? No, I think the bigger question is that on whose instruction was he working? Because that's an easy target for everyone to look at the DSP. But why would DSP do something like that?
And believe me, the DSP will not be spared. It has come to the knowledge of the DSP will not be spared and the DMO will not be spared. We've asked these questions of the DSP.
The question is on whose instruction. He can't do it on his own. Obviously, a DSP rank officer can't do on his own. My question is he doing it on behalf of DFI?
Let him answer, sir.
If the DSP had not done on his own, the government would not have instituted an inquiry against the DSP. There is an inquiry.
Sir, you don't have, I don't think that's an argument. You didn't have a choice, right?
Anusha,
if the school certificate of a girl shows that she was less than 18, you have to take...
two things.
Yes.
Anusha, this DSP will be expelled, I'm telling you. On Saturday evening, I was on some live debate wherein I said that an SIT will be constituted by co-panelists there on that debate. Did not believe me at that point of time. This SIT was constituted as early as Monday. And today I'm telling you with a lot of conviction that this DSP will be... there will be a punishment. There will not be, it won't just be a suspension. There will be a severe punishment, not just against the DSP, but also against the DMO. A question has been asked as to why the DMO did not alert the higher authorities as to the need of an air ambulance to fly the girl to Delhi. This could have been done.
Okay, so short interjection by Mr. R.P. Singh, and then I'll come back to you, Mayurji.
Will DSP will be inquired? Will inquiry will be held against DSP also?
Yes.
Give me a second. Give me a second. Will his phone records will be made public? Who was calling him? Who was assisting him?
Okay, Singh Saab, I just have 2 minutes. Mayur, a quick response from you and then I have to wrap up the debate.
On behalf of PFI.
Let the SIT. Sir, my sister has died. On live television, I am telling you, even if I have to fight with my government, I will ensure
you better fight with your government because your government is complicit.
Mr. Singh, I'm telling you. Mr. Singh, I'm telling you, my chief.
But Mayur, don't you think that very crucial time, very crucial time, Mayur, Mr. Singh, please.
Anusha, these are the lapses that is to be investigated, and I'm telling you with a very, with a very heavy heart, I'm telling you that nothing we do will ever bring this brave daughter back to us. But I'm telling you, like an elder brother to that daughter, and I'm telling you, I know my chief minister well. He's a man of very, he's a man of a very soft heart. My chief minister
then why anyone from the Congress party or JMM has not gone and met the victim's family so far? Answer that simple question for me. You're saying she was your sister. God forbid if something like this happens to anybody's sister or in yours or my family, God forbid, would you not meet them?
Anusha, my health minister Banna Gupta went there. Padal Patlek, who's an MLA from an adjoining constituency, went there. Just that the photo ops were not there. They will be there. One thing, but Anusha, let me tell you one thing. When how the response of the Jharkhand government has been different vis-a-vis what the response of the UP government would have been. I'm telling you, because when a dying statement was being recorded by a journalist, that journalist was not booked. I'm telling you, when a dying statement was recorded by a journalist of that girl, that statement is the basic, that statement is the basis of
if there is any state government which is hindering the due process of law, I'm sorry, I'm very short of time, I have to wrap up this debate, but if there is any state government which is hindering the due process of law, the instances that Mayur was pointing out, there are courts in this country that have often stepped in, whether it was any instance in Uttar Pradesh or any other part of the country. Mr. R.P. Singh of the BJP, Mayur Jha, Naveen Upadhyay and Dr. Tanush Khatri, thank you everyone for joining us on the show. The government right now is virtually running out of a resort, and there is still justice that the victim's family needs to get from the law and order machinery and from the courts of this country. With that, it's a wrap. Thank you for watching this site.